SwamiLee Interviews. Today we are interviewing a Twitter influencer. Yes, you are a Twitter influencer. Ivan Lovegren, who is the Breaks on Twitter. Ivan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lee. Thanks for having me. Although I'm a little afraid of that title, because if you know what I'm known for, I'm really known for all of my collect fails. So please don't be influenced by me. Learn from me.
Well, you're not a Kardashian, okay? I'll tell you that you're not a Kardashian. I'm sorry, but anybody that has 41,000 plus followers on Twitter had to get there for in any way. Took some effort. So today we're going to discuss the hobby and your views on the hobby, and what else, how you became who you are in the hobby. So let's start. I'll give you some easy questions to start out with, because I know the pressure is really hard to be on the SwamiLee show. So I like many people's lifelong dream. Just to be clear,
I've been waiting for weeks, if not months.
Excellent. I like to hear the enthusiasm. I do like to hear the enthusiasm. So we'll get right to it. You've been on Twitter for nearly 10 years. Why did you join Twitter in the first place?
So, I mean, there's two different answers to that. I joined Twitter in the first place because I was in Los Angeles in entertainment, and all my friends were getting on it, and I had to see what it was about. I created Watch the Breaks Twitter handle because in that general joining Twitter, I started seeing collectors on Twitter and following hobby accounts. And it was right as I was getting back into collecting myself, 2011. And I realized there's all that other noise on Twitter, all the stuff they were debating 10 years ago. They're still arguing it today, political ads, all of that. And yet then there's hobby Twitter, which is unlike anything. It's a community of people who I know you ran your own card shop for many years. When I was a kid in Nebraska, we would ride our bikes to the card shop, and that was back when everybody collected, right?
Oh, yep.
And everybody says that, remember back when everybody collected? Well, even back then, nobody collected like I did. Nobody cared as much about the cards as I did, but my world was this big, right? It was between 56th Street and 84th Street at best. That's how adventurous I could be on my bike. And even the kid that lived next door that had unlimited money to spend on cards, he could buy the $4 packs. When we were just buying the $1 packs, he would put his cards in a shoebox. I'm like, what are you doing? You gotta sleeve them and protect them. So fast forward 15 years or so, and all of a sudden there's the internet, there's social media, and within that there's this bubble of Twitter, where I was finally introduced to people that cared as much about cards as me, and in many cases more, and in many cases smarter, much smarter, encyclopedic knowledge, product-specific knowledge, sport-specific knowledge. And I've just always been naturally curious, and so I just dove in and have loved it ever since, because I'm surrounded by people that are better than me at cards, and that's encouraging and exciting to me.
Well, the main question I've had is, how do you get 41,000 plus followers? I mean, how does that happen? It doesn't happen overnight, obviously.
No, it happens over 10 years of incessant talking. But I will say one sort of hack goes back to something when I was a little kid in Omaha, Nebraska, that my mother taught me, which I don't think kids today understand or know, which we used to get mail. You may still get mail. Usually it's just cards today, but we used to get letters. We used to have these things called pen pals that we would write to.
Sure.
And if you wanted to get a letter, my mom always said the best way to get a letter is to send a letter. So a lot of people on Twitter are very protective of their feed, or they curate it, or they don't share anything that they disagree with, or they don't share anything that could challenge their ability to make money. I have never ascribed to that. I've always ascribed to, I want your voice to be as loud in my realm as my voice. And I mean, you're a perfect example, right? Like, how many times have we disagreed on Twitter?
I would say more than once,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And yet we can still jump on and have this because I value that. Like, I value being told I'm wrong, or I value being told, well, sell cards this way and it works really well, or, I see this, people are asking me for this when I'm seeing, oh, well, people aren't buying that. Um, I value that. So I love amplifying your voice when you're giving me very helpful information. So I think that's just part of it. Is it's always been a two-way street for me, as opposed to just a one-way street of here's why what I'm saying is important. It's really not. It's just one dude's opinion who collects and buys and sells, and definitely doesn't have the when I would go to shows in LA, actually it was really funny. Like, people didn't know me at the shows in LA at all, and that's good. I like that. I like being a nobody in a room of great collectors, but at the same time, I always felt a little out of place there because those shows are so slab case heavy. Like, people are sitting down with, literally hundreds of 4-figure, 5-figure cards, and that's what they want to trade. And I'm like, I just want to see some cool cards and sort through some quarter boxes. So that's me. I try to be authentic in me, and then also amplify other voices. So.
Well, it does come back to everybody has their own way of doing it, and collecting and such. And I do a show every month in Jacksonville down here, and you have the 12-year-olds carrying their little slab cases around, and I constantly get people, do you buy? Do you buy? And they have their slabs, and they want 90% of comps for them. And then I have other customers that are looking for the 50-cent cards and the dollar cards, and they're a lot more fun to talk to than the people. So I'm totally with you. So let's get to the market itself. Obviously, things have changed in the last roughly 6 months or so. What are your feelings about what is going on right now? I mean, I've been trying to figure it out myself for months, and I've been talking to other dealers, and we don't know what's going on. What are your thoughts on the market itself today and where it's going in 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months?
It's a great question. And thanks for sharing where you and the other dealers fall on it, which is none of us know.
No clue.
Because I'm in the same boat. Like, I have no idea what the future holds, what tomorrow holds. I do have a lot of faith in the hobby as a hobby. And it's actually, I've never been a cards or an investment guru or touter or pusher. I actually worked in investments for the last 7 years, and I feel like cards are much more like roulette, much more like poker, maybe like blackjack. And part of that, I think, was vastly on display this year, which was the sure bets, or the sure investments, according to many people, had terrible years or got busted for cheating. And so when you've got all these large companies now that are trying to make cards an investment and trying to tout cards as an investment, well, then when they pick wrong, it impacts the entire market in a really, on paper, bad way. Because on paper, it looks like in the past 4 months, baseball is down, 18%. Don't quote these numbers. They're off the top of my head and off cobbled together snapshots that I've done. But, you see this red graph and things are down. Well, which things are down? If the market before was, as they defined it, largely comprised of Tatis, Soto, Wander Franco, well, you've got a list of injuries and suspensions right there. If you had been buying Aaron Judge in the offseason, if you'd been buying Yordan Alvarez in the offseason, if you'd been buying Jeremy Pena in July, you'd be wonderfully up right now.
What about the wax market, which is something I focus on as I sell a lot of wax? Last year, product X came out and it was $500 a box, and people complained they couldn't get it. Now, product X comes out, the same product, a year later is $150 a box, and nobody wants it. So,
well, it's supply and demand, and again, the printing. Like we've seen printing go up, and that's kind of a drastic example. I'd be curious if you actually had a name for product X.
Oh, sure.
I feel like,
Panini Black Football. We'll just start with that
yeah.
one.
So
That was $500 last year per box, and it sold. We could go on to the draft Panini. God, what just came out? It came out Elite. I mean, all the Panini football products. Baseball, it's not fluctuating as much, but the
well,
Panini football
there's two
products.
easy reasons for that, which is, I mean, like football. This goes back to a lesson I learned in 2013, which is the unfortunate way that manufacturers and also to a lesser extent distributors in the past, I don't know the current environment of it, but have the shops really held hostage in some ways, because at least
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, talking to my LCS back in Los Angeles, I recently moved, so if you ever hear back in or when I was, um, their Tops Direct account, they used to have to pre-order 6, 7, 8 months in advance to get the Tops Direct pricing on products. And so 2012 is a great example. 2011, football was down just in general. It wasn't popular. Let's actually put it that way. It wasn't popular even with the Cam Newton that year. And so they didn't buy a lot of 2012. And then what happened in 2012? And this is, you think a shop owner knows everything about sports because we are on Twitter 24/7. No, the shop owner is running a shop all day long. They don't have time to scout the college draft picks for the next, round, and also how many times are their sleepers. So they're simply buying based on their past experience.
So
they don't buy enough 2012. 2012 skyrockets, and now they're having to buy at secondary prices in order to fulfill demand. So then the 2013 solicitation comes out. Football's popular. I got to buy a bunch of 2013. Well, then 2013 was Geno Smith and EJ Manuel, and absolutely crashed, and they had all this product on the
so
shelves.
hang on a second. I got a question for you. So are you saying that, in your opinion, and of course it's all we can do is share opinions, nobody actually knows anything, but in your opinion, what's going on right now is the natural cycle, which, by the way, I remember 2003 with Carson Palmer. Okay, it was a terrible, terrible year for football products because there was nobody in it from the rookie standpoint. So my question to you is, are you saying that we're right now just in a regular cycle and we have a lousy draft class, which we do, or is it something else? In other words, next year is supposed to be a better quarterback class. So do you think next year things go back to the way they were because there's a better class?
So I think it's a combination of factors, but using football at least as like this one is drastic, I think there is a drastic difference in the classes, even though there's a lot of potential in this class.
But quarterback-wise, there really isn't, and that's...
Well, there's actually 4. We've got 3 of them that have started already.
But
we just don't know if they'll actually be good.
Well, they're all playing for... They're not playing for... Like Pickett with Pittsburgh. The Steelers are... I'm a Steeler fan. We're gunning for the number 1 pick in the draft. Okay? They're done. Malik Willis, he looked okay last week. First start. Not bad. Not great. So... Yeah. And the other guys... Again, I don't think there's any excitement in these quarterbacks, except for Pickett right now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is everybody kind of knows they can wait and buy them later.
Which very well...
Are the Steelers going to draft a quarterback with that first pick next year?
No, they won't get the first. They'll probably get pick number 7, I'm guessing. Hopefully they'll take some players on the defense or an offensive lineman because they've got a lot of problems. But let's not...
in theory, Pickett will continue to start for them.
Oh, Pickett's the future. He's a Pitt kid. Pickett's the future unless he totally... I mean, and he's played pretty well, so I'm not too worried about Pickett. Well, let's jump on to...
That's definitely... Well, I was just going to say real quick, so that's definitely part of it, is that specific class, especially when you say, hey, baseball hasn't tapered off as much. Well, baseball had a strong rookie at the beginning of the year, and then also in the middle of the year, they started throwing these other rookies in, right?
Julio especially, yeah.
Example. But also, I mean, we can't deny that the inflation from the manufacturers has been huge, too. Like, I don't think Panini Black was $500 on the website last year.
Panini is usually more expensive than the market on their website. I remember my Panini Black, I sold it to a dealer and I got around $450 for the box. And again, I had 1 box, so it really made no difference in my life. But Panini, right now, they just released on their website Um, Football product skips my mind. Origins. Origins was 265, I think, on the website, or 269
269.
plus tax plus shipping. You can buy it on eBay delivered for 255. So as always, and I'm not a strong proponent of buying expensive wax on eBay because there's too many funny things going on. But the bottom line is the manufacturer should sell the product cheaper than the third guy that holds a product. I'm the third guy to touch my product. When I get a wax box in, I'm the third guy to touch it. Okay? 2 people made a profit before it went to me. And I'm still cheaper than Panini 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And all those people need to realize in that step, in that process, that that's what allows them to make the profit is the fact that other people also are.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues, and honestly, that could be a topic that could go on for hours. And due to our limited time, we got to jump ahead a little bit because I like to know a little bit more about your ISO commerce, like your marketplace. I've never heard of it until I saw that. You mentioned it, so I kind of checked it out. What is it? I mean, like I've seen there's so many sites coming out, all saying you could sell your sports cards here, and they get like 4 views a day. You spend hours and hours and hours putting a million different things on there, and you get one sale in 6 months. So what is this site, and what makes this site better than the other 50 other ones that I could go to?
Well, I can tell you what makes it different for sure, and then you decide if it's better or not. One of the first things that we don't actually even talk enough about is what you just mentioned, hours and hours creating all of this stuff. So the team behind this actually worked at Snapchat previously. And so creating a listing is as easy as creating an Instagram post. In fact, maybe even easier if you use as many hashtags as I do on Instagram, because you don't need that. It takes 3 seconds to create a listing. If you're a breaker and you're trying to create like a team break, we actually have a tool for that, so it can take 30 seconds to create all 32 teams or all 30 teams. So one is hopefully we're saving you time on the listing. But the real vision and philosophy behind it is so many of the platforms that have sprung up or that exist are really focused on acquiring users and then passing them around to the sellers. So they say, hey, look, we've got buyers on our site. We've got buyers on our site. You mentioned at the beginning my Twitter following. I've got a really strong community there on Twitter. If I'm a seller, do I want to move them onto a platform, download something, get it on their phone, where they're going to get a notification of someone else selling, where they're going to be told when someone else goes live, because I'm not going to spend 24 hours a day streaming. I've got 3 kids, a wife, a job. So it was designed to be, we have all of the tools that you see elsewhere. We've got live video sales. We've got eBay style auctions. You can run a 3-day auction, a 24-hour auction, a 7-day auction. We've got listings that you can do buy it now. But those are all secondary to the idea that if you have an audience, if you have a community, whether it's a Facebook group, a Discord, a Twitter following, you can build this ecosystem for them, which is like owning your own eBay or owning your own live streaming app.
So, but where are the people coming from? Okay, I mean, again, there's so many sites that, I mean, I joined a site in April, and I had about 4 sales in the first 2 months, and haven't had a sale since. And that was literally 6 months ago or so, since my last sale. Where are your people coming from? Because that guy swore that things were going to go great, and he was going to get all kinds of people, and there's just nobody there. It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
Where are you specifically? Who's going to your site that could buy my product?
So I would honestly, I would not recommend that you just create your own marketplace on our site without an audience already. Now, there's a way for you to get on the site without an audience and plug into one. So one of our key sellers that you can see on Twitter, on Discord, on YouTube is Midwest Box Breaks. Midwest Box Breaks has a Discord called Break Club. It has about 2,000 members. Ben spun up just as a breaker. He was like, let me just break on this. And we started showing him the other features. And what he's able to do, because he has this audience, is he's actually able to sign you up as a seller in his marketplace. Now he's promoting you inside his Discord. You list something that's a really good deal or really sharp, or the guy that just hit a home run, he posts it in his Discord and somebody can just type claim and automatically check it out.
Now, what are the fees? What's your fee structure?
So if you signed up as an individual seller, it's 8% plus Stripe, because we use them for payment processing. So roughly 11%. It's a little, there's that 30-cent charge and 2.9%.
Right.
In a pro seller marketplace, so if you signed up in a pro seller marketplace, you could actually pay the same fee. We just split part of it with that host or distributor. Okay. So the work they're doing to bring eyeballs to your sales, to your items, to your listings, they get a portion of the fee for.
So if I was to sum it up, you're saying the difference between your site that you're talking about and the other ones I was talking about is your site is more like me having my own website compared to me being on a platform that just is allegedly going to draw in a zillion and one people. So in other words, if I wanted my own website, but I didn't want to handle the concept of making a website, go into your site and I could use it like that. Would that be correct?
Correct, with just a few tweaks. One is very few people have built a website that can do auctions itself. So you get the ability to run an auction.
Gotcha.
Very few people have a website that also has live streaming sales built in. So you can do that. You could spin up live here. And then the other part is, even with a website, you still have SEO responsibility on your side.
Right.
Whereas here, your website can be tied to somebody that's already generating traffic, generating views, has buyers, people that are searching for the cards you're listing. So instead of SEO, it's really, hey, here's a marketplace that fits my needs. If you're mainly a stack seller, maybe you join a marketplace of people that are set builders. If you're mainly a slab seller, maybe you join one of my LA friends marketplaces where all the buyers are looking for those slabs of shiny cards.
Sure.
So
okay.
That's what we give you, is you can join a marketplace that already exists, and they're compensated for continuing to drive the traffic while you're getting the eyeballs that you need that maybe another site is struggling to bring, because they're just, everything's available on that site and you don't get the targeted type of buyers for what you're selling.
Well, it definitely sounds like something worth looking into. So I will tell you, I personally will be looking into that because I'm always looking for another opportunity. And as I told you, every time I join these new sites, they don't do any business. Mm-hmm. You're not going to believe what just happened. Oh, we're back.
A cord got unplugged?
No, my house is haunted, okay, just so you know. Literally,
I saw it.
A stack of cards, which I've been nowhere near, just fell over, knocked a wire, and took me off for a couple seconds. Thankfully, it brought me back. So, in case anybody's wondering what happened, I don't even know. I think the ghost was doing that. But we're running out of time, so let's get it. We got a couple more things to discuss. The link is on the screen right now. If you do, check it out. I know I will be, because I'm very curious to see if that's something that would benefit me. The next question is probably the most important question of the day, and that is, you get one question. You can ask the Swami anything. It could be the meaning of life. It could be card related. But you got one question, and you can't think about it for an hour. Go for it. One question.
All right, Swami. Where is the sports card hobby 2 years from now?
Ooh, I believe that I believe we're fine. The problem is people don't realize, they don't remember what it was like 5 years ago. I had my shop in 17, 18 before I moved down here. And I'd buy a box for $30 and sell it for $40. I'd buy a box for $60, I'd sell it for $70. That's what it was. Nowadays that $60 box costs $100. And now it's being sold for $130, we'll just say. So I think we're fine, but the guys that were the big dollar people, the Kardashian kid, the basketball players, they're the ones that are really going to suffer a little bit, because that card they bought for 10 grand 8 months ago is only going for 3 grand now. But for you and me, because I've always been a low end guy, I'm not looking to. I don't buy $1,000 cards to resell them. I buy $5 cards to resell them. I think you and me, we're fine. We're going to see a bunch of people drop out that were the sneakerhead type people. They're going to drop out. So eventually they're going to all be gone. It's going to go back to somewhat normal. It's going to be more expensive because Panini and Topps and all those guys have raised their prices so high. And it'll be back to, I buy a box for $100 and I sell that box for $125. So my margins are going to be cut. My difference is I only get one box now. I used to get 12 boxes, so I make $20 a box, make a nice profit. But I think we'll be okay, but the craziness is going to be gone for quite a while. So, lastly, because we're running out of time, the floor is yours. You have about 60 seconds. You can discuss anything or tell these folks anything you want to tell them about anything related to you or your business, whatever it might be.
I mean, I want to tell them the same thing I want to tell you, Swami, which is just thank you. Like, I'm grateful that you asked me to come on today. I'm grateful that the hobby community is what it is. Whether it's those super high-end investors or, the low-end dollar bin, quarter bin, dime bin collectors. Like, just thank you. I'm constantly filled with gratitude for what the hobby is, what it's been to me, what we're seeing with ISO, and just opportunities like this where, a card shop owner, now a table dealer in Jacksonville says, "Hey, Ivan, let's get on and chat the hobby." Like, 10-year-old me could never imagine that this would even be a possibility. So my minute is just gratitude, man. Gratitude for you and gratitude for the hobby.
Well, it's funny you say what you just said, because 10-year-old me would never have thought I could do such a thing as this. As little as it is, in the scope of the entire world, for somebody that's always wanted to get into broadcasting but is obviously not going to at my advanced age, the all the goods and all the bads of the internet, this has got to be one of the better parts of it. Just being able to, we're going to be talking to, in the near future, we're going to be talking to people from all aspects of the hobby, from the dealer to the collector, to the influencer, to some professional athletes we're talking to in the near future. So it's great. It's great to go on Twitter and to send 140 characters. But it's even better when you can sit down and actually discuss something, and you're not discussing, I pulled fire, it's hot, 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 buy this, sell this, do this. Yeah. Conversation in itself is so hard to come by these days. It really is. But appreciate you coming on to see us today and talk to us. And hopefully we'll have you back. And next time I think we have you back, we're just going to take one topic and just discuss that one topic straight through. But we wanted to get you out here and talk a couple different things. I definitely recommend people checking out your site, www.iso.gg/discover, which is on your screen right now. I certainly will be, because we're always looking for great opportunities. And thanks for joining me, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Lee. Well, we'll be talking on Twitter in about 30 seconds.
that sounds good. Thanks so much for seeing us, Ivan. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.